Okay, I have filmed this intro so many times. I don't know what it is about me today, but I'm just having issues, so I just need to get this out. So today's video is exciting because I have finally finished all 30 of my quilt squares. So I don't know if you remember, but I had 30 squares that I had to do. I had 6 groups of 4, and then I had 3 groups of 2. And I finally got those all done last night. I just kind of buckled down and got it done. So that's very exciting. So today's video, I'm going to iron all of it before I start like piecing all of that stuff together. I have finally decided to go ahead and iron just because it's a lot of fabric to work with. I just want to make sure everything is nice and crisp and laying right, and it will be easier to work with anyway. So basically, I'm just going to see how much I can get done. If I get the ironing done and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like sewing anything, you know, but honestly, ironing I don't think will take too terribly long. Like, it's a lot, but I think I'll be able to put some together. It'd be awesome if I could just get it all done, but I'm not going to promise anything because you never know. Sometimes I get tired or it gets kind of hot in this room. It's actually kind of warm right now. When I first came in here, I was like, oh, it feels pretty good, but you know, with the door closed and everything, it doesn't take long to start getting hot. So another thing I was going to mention is something I talked about in my last video, that we're going to be painting in this room here pretty soon. So I don't know if it sounds echoey. I don't think it does, but I mean, it might translate different like on the camera. And I was just going to kind of show the room. Not that it like really matters. It's not really related to this at all, but I figured I'd go ahead and show it because why not? And just like maybe show the color I was thinking of. Okay, so here is the room. It is very, still have all that stuff on the bookshelf I gotta take off. That's all my ironing stuff ready to go. All my pieces, but it is pretty empty. My bookshelf over there is completely empty. I don't have anything on the wall over here now. I have a bunch of nails in the wall. I had some shelves up there that are gone now for the moment. Yeah, here's all my stuff ready to go. Woohoo! And then I'll just kind of show you my my little squares here on the wall that I have. Okay, so yeah, these are the colors I got going on. The one that I'm most leaning toward, is this one right here. I was thinking this one, but it might be like a tad bit too dark, especially since I'm in here at night a lot. I want to keep it nice and bright. So the one, yeah, it's not gonna want to, there we go, shagreen. I don't know if we can see that, but it's just like a nice light green. So, as you can probably guess, this video is going to be a mix of, you know, real life, in-time talking, and some voiceover. Most of the voiceover stuff is just going to be, you know, just while I'm ironing. I said that really weird. I'm going to try to not edit this audio too much because honestly, I have quite a bit of time here that I've got to talk anyway, and we'll just fill space. Yeah, I was kind of nervous about doing this ironing because, that's always when you kind of see all your mistakes that you've made. Getting everything all smooth, you know, like, oh, how many seams did I not line up right? And it's one of those things, at the end of the day, I just kind of have to deal with it because there's so many seams on this. There's just no way I could have done it perfectly. I think overall it ended up pretty good. Some I was like pleasantly surprised that they ended up pretty well. I think I mentioned this in another part of the video. Yeah, I do. That ironing board is like kind of shaky. That's kind of annoying because I can really tell when it's sped up, it's really shaky. Also, I'm kind of glad this is going fast because seriously, this angle is like so unflattering. I think this is actually, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like this is the first ironing one that I've actually shown my face. I kind of wish I hadn't now. For that reason, that's pretty bad. Oh, there I actually, it's going so fast you couldn't tell, but I kept snagging on my fabric when I was trying to iron it, so I ended up plugging it into a different outlet, like behind me, because I don't know, I plugged it in front of me, which really makes no sense at all, but that's always like the plug-in I'm used to plugging things in, but I have an extra little outlet in my other area now because I got a little, not extension cord, but anyway, just to get more outlets. Okay, I tested the iron there because I felt like before it was always like much hotter. I had it on cotton, so I was wondering like, what is happening? This just doesn't seem very hot. So I started adding more water. I was like soaking this fabric. That's probably not good, but anyway, that's what I was doing. And I think I do mention that it ended up ironing okay in the end, considering it was like really soaked. And I feel like I've also mentioned this before, when it is kind of damp, the fabric, I mean, it's a little easier to sew because it's, well, I don't know, like doesn't puff up, I guess, is kind of more what I'm getting with that. Also, you know, I was trying to get off the little threads, so you see me picking off a lot of those. Yeah, some of the corners were kind of hard to get because I would kind of try to go one way and then it would like bunch up a little bit, so then I have to iron it the other way. So I kind of just ironed it every which way. And you know, I said, oh yeah, ironing won't take very long. Honestly, it was kind of a long process. Originally, I wasn't even going to attempt to iron any of the inside seams, but I thought, you know, I probably should because I really haven't done any of that like all throughout this thing. And maybe it would have been a little bit easier for me to sew if I would have, you know, done that the whole time, but I don't know, just really, I just didn't want to mess with it, so I didn't. But, yeah, I really spent a lot of time on those centered where all the colored blocks kind of meet, because I couldn't figure out which way they wanted to go. When it came to those, I kind of just, whichever way it seemed to want to fall, that's just where I ironed it and just called it good. But, yeah, I can tell, like, all those water spots on there, yeah, they're, like, just soaked. And, yeah, after a while, I don't think I'm quite there yet. I think in the very last clip of this, I kind of got tired. Oh, no, here we go. I start just kind of, like, spraying, like, not only the part that I'm currently on, but just kind of around the whole thing to save time, because they would get so soaked that I wouldn't even really have to worry about it drying out by the time I got to it. Oh yeah, all those big water spots. Because I switched the nozzle on my sprayer to be the stream or whatever it is instead of the mist. Because I feel like my other spray bottle, well, okay, it's probably about the same mist as my big one. I felt like it was more intense, but who knows. But that mist is like a very fine mist. So there were places where I wet it and I'm like, did I even actually wet that? Because this really doesn't feel wet at all. So I just had to get it hard with the stream of water. But yeah, actually, some of those areas got flatter than I was expecting, especially on the top, considering how crazy it still kind of was on the underside. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I've talked so much about just ironing. Usually I talk about other things, but I don't know. I got nothing really. Yeah, I kind of wanted to just get this done. You know, I didn't necessarily expect to get as much as I did done. But I'm glad I did. You know, you'll kind of see what all I get done, obviously, later in the video, but it's kind of nice, like, once I get a little bit of energy anyway. You know, I still took a nap before this, but had a little bit of energy, so I thought, you know what, let's just knock all this out. I'll feel better in the end, so let's just do it. But again, I sometimes have to have something, you know, for motivation. And again, with this, it was the painting of the room, because, you know, it's going to be out of service for a while, so to speak. But yeah, I think it'd be really nice having the walls painted. I always kind of said that I wasn't going to bother with it because, you know, the thought of painting all the rooms just was, ugh, I didn't want, but you know, it's been a few years now. I think, what, 4 years? I'm not even sure, but, it's definitely been long enough. And especially since I'm in the room more, it'll be nice to actually have something other than just a neutral, kind of boring color, since it is my room. But yeah. We're getting to the end here, so luckily I don't have to talk too much more. You'll see clips later where normally I would talk over my sewing, but it's actually pretty quick, so I end up leaving the sound on, so that'll be a fun little ASMR experience. But like I said, they're not too long, so you're not just like listening to odd sounds for like a really long time. I still speed it up. At least like 5 times, I think. So, yep. So you get to enjoy that later. And we are almost to the end here. And I have more talking that I do later on. So don't worry, you'll still hear me talk. And so you're not just like oblivious as to what's going on. Yep, this is the last piece. And I was ready to be done. Ironing is so boring. And I didn't listen to music or watch a video or anything during this time, which is unheard of for me. I just wanted to like concentrate, I guess. And I did, you can tell. Okay, now that we've got all the ironing done, I'm going to go ahead and take my doubles here. And then as you can see, that's our number 2. We're gonna put the doubles onto one of our sets of 4. Okay, I've got my block of 4 here, and then, so now I've got to figure out where exactly I need to be pinning it. So I've kind of laid it down generally how it is on my pattern. I think I actually need to go on this side here. I got my little bin here of my clips. Went ahead and bought this. It's very loud. I was actually wanting like a little basket or something so it'd be quiet, but this is what I have right now. It's really cheap. It actually holds like index cards, but all right. So we've got our set of 2 here. So let me just glance at my chart and see exactly where it needs to go. It pretty much just repeats. So I believe, yeah, here we go. So then that should be correct. We've got purple, green. I know you probably really can't see it. Purple, green, black, white, and yeah, it's good all the way down. So let me go ahead and move these. So I'm just going to take this and flip it over onto this. And I'm going to take the whole thing and put it down. Sorry if this thing is shaky. It's really old. I don't know. I've debated on getting a new one, but I mean, technically this one works. It's kind of annoying, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. Alrighty, so I'm probably just gonna go ahead and show me like pinning the first one. And luckily, well, I say luckily, I think I'm gonna have enough clips to where I can go ahead and just pin all 3 of these. That would be great, but we'll have to see. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think I will just speed through this because it does take a while to kind of line everything up. Yeah, as you can see, I only had enough clips for 2 of them. I try to put the clip on either side of each seam, so that way it just kind of keeps all of them together. Even if I do this, it won't always turn out like 100% correct, but you know, it gives it a fighting chance anyway. And this is the point where like the fabric going through the machine gets pretty heavy. So you just want to make sure that you kind of adjust it like as you go, just to make sure that the fabric isn't shifting where you don't want it to. All right, so we've got our 3 sets of 6 done. That was actually pretty quick. Don't mind the exercise ball there. I just kind of threw it over there. So if we go back to our pattern, we can kind of see what we have to go next. All right, so we've gotten those on there. And then so step 3 is to put another set of 4 onto this set of 4, which is also connected to these two. So if that makes sense. All right, so I just got done penning all of this, and luckily we're still only going from like the 2 blocks to 2 blocks, so that's great. But as you can see, we have a lot of fabric already that we're dealing with, and we're gonna have to do that 3 times. And then obviously the last step, step number 4, is gonna be the most, because then we'll be going 5 onto 5. So that is when it gets really fun. But one thing about this quilt is since the squares are already so big, it's going much faster than my other quilt. Obviously, there's a lot of pieces to each square, so that took a long time. But now that we're at this point, it's going back really fast. So that's awesome. All right, so there is my 3 sets of 10 blocks over there. So according to my pattern, all I gotta do is put the 10 blocks onto the 10 and then onto the 10. So we're really only penning actually 5 blocks to 5 blocks, which isn't bad because I mean, we were just doing 4 to 4. So the only difference is it's just gonna be a lot more fabric to have to deal with when I'm actually at the sewing machine. But it'll go by pretty quick because I'm only gonna have to do it twice. Okay, so I'm down on the floor now because for some reason it didn't dawn on me that even though this is like the whole width of it, you can't really see it right now, that obviously my ironing board was not going to be long enough to be able to pin it on that. So I have to move it to the floor, and I'm trying to estimate like how many clips I'm gonna have to use, because originally with the other, I think I used 12. I think I'll have to use like 18 clips or something like that, which is fine. I mean, obviously I'll have to like pin this, sew it, and then pin the other one, which again, not a big deal. But let me just kind of show you like what I've got laid out here. All right, so this is what we're having to work with here. I'm gonna have to pin all that stuff on the top. That's gonna be fun. right, this is the last part clipped. As you can see, there's a ton of clips on there. I ran out, so kind of on the end, they're really sparse, but this is what we've got. And then, oh yeah, that corner. And so once I get this done, it'll be done, and then we'll be on to the border for next time. All right, here is the final reveal for the quilt top before we, add the border or anything like that. I will say that second part that I did that I didn't film was actually really easy. Like, it went really smoothly, like the pinning and actually sewing it. The other one, I actually had to sew it on one side and then go back and sew it on the other side because there was a couple spots that just like weren't even attached. But I'm glad that at least that last one was really easy. It actually lined up really well, so I didn't have to like do anything special. So yeah, at least from far away it looks good. But anyway, that is the end here, and I will see you next time.